It's a very exciting time to be a wrestling fan.
If you're in the business of making money, it would behoove you to be a safe and inclusive space.
Whether you agree with what someone is saying has nothing to do with his right to say it.
This is my stop. Got to get off. I may go pop. Excuse me! I've got to be direct. If I'm wrong, please correct. You're standing on my neck.
What's up, y'all? My name is Devontae, and I sacrifice my time so you don't have to. I mean, what more can I say, bruh? I got nothing else to say besides, let's just get directly into the article, shall we? Okay, so this is an article from Fox News. I know, discredit them as much as you want. I would too in any other circumstances. But it's the only one that I can find that's a little bit more in-depth than the other ones, and, rather than the CNN. WWE execs identified in lawsuit against Vince McMahon. Two current WWE executives were identified in a sex trafficking lawsuit filed in January against former chair Vince McMahon and former top official John Laurinaitis. WWE President Nick Khan and COO Brad Bloom were identified as corporate officers number 1 and number 2 on Monday. Stephanie McMahon, Vince's daughter and former chair and co-CEO of WWE, was identified as corporate officer number 3. Brian Nurse, former WWE General Counsel, was identified as corporate officer number 4. By the way, I'll leave a link again of the documents in this video, just like the Brock Lesnar video, if you want to check it out, because I think they have it numbered, or at least they have them identified in the article as that also. Around like the latter pages, if I'm not mistaken, like page 11 to page 12, something like that. Front Office Sports first reported the identifications, which were later confirmed to Fox News Digital. And I quote, "Yes, I can confirm that these names are correct," and Callis, an attorney for accuser Janelle Grant, said in a statement. WWE didn't comment when asked by Fox News Digital. A spokesperson told Front Office Sports, and I quote, "WWE takes Miss Grant's allegations very seriously and has no tolerance for any physical abuse or unwanted physical contact. Neither Nick Khan nor Brad Bloom, prior to the lawsuit being filed on January 25th, 2024, were aware of any allegation by Ms. Grant that she was the victim of abuse or unwanted physical contact, nor does the complaint allege that either had knowledge of such." I caught that right away. I know what they're trying to say. Okay, we're gonna come back to that after the article. I know what they're trying to do there. That's legalese right there. Khan, Bloom, Stephanie McMahon, and Nurse do not face any explicit claims of knowing about the alleged sexual abuse that occurred to Grant. The lawsuit claimed that they covered up exploitation in ways that make WWE liable under federal anti-trafficking law, according to Front Office Sports. Is that about it? Okay. Stephanie McMahon and Nurse didn't immediately respond to requests for comment from Fox News Digital. Grant points out in a lawsuit that each of the 4 individuals knew who she was because of the alleged exploitation. Grant's lawsuit against Vince McMahon was filed in January. She alleged in the 67-page complaint, which by the way is in the description box below, that McMahon lured her to the company with the promises of a stellar career only to be sexually exploited by him and people he called his friends between 2019 and 2022. I'm curious whether or not that does fall underneath coercion as far as trying to give promises, because it's not a force and it's not a threat. Now, if he were to threaten to take it away because she wouldn't actually do what she wanted to, or do what he wanted her to do, that flat out would be coercion, which will fall directly under sex trafficking, but she has to prove that. That's been my stance the entire time. I stand by my prior statement that Ms. Grant's lawsuit is replete with lies, obscene made-up instances that never occurred, and is a vindictive distortion of the truth, McMahon said in a statement. I intend to vigorously defend myself against these baseless accusations and look forward to clearing my name. However, out of respect for the WWE Universe, the extraordinary TKO business, and its board members and shareholders, partners and constituents, and all of the employees and superstars who help make WWE into the global leader it is today, I have decided to resign from my executive chairman and TKO board of directors effective immediately, is what Vince McMahon said. I thought for a second they were saying, like Nick Khan was saying, I'm like, what the fuck kind of titles that he has? But yeah, let's get back to what we're talking about. Okay, so first and foremost, let's go right back to that real quick. I just want to focus on this part really fast. Where was it again? Because that's the one that stood out to me the most. It said a WWE spokesperson told neither Nick Khan nor Brad Bloom prior to the lawsuit being filed on January 25th, 2024 were aware of any allegation by Ms. Grant that she was a victim of abuse or unwanted physical contact, nor does the complaint allege that either had knowledge of such. See, you can play these games all you want to. Now, see, here's my thing. I'm willing to look at the definition of a statute as far as what can be considered underneath actual laws, right? I can look at sex trafficking, and obviously I can look at the details that detail sex trafficking, because there's a fine line and a distinction between sex trafficking and prostitution when you think about it, right? Because if there's no force behind any of this, yet you're being paid to have sex with multiple men, then you yourself are liable underneath, prostitution laws, because that's essentially what you're doing. But with the force, it turns it now from you being a victim, or you not being a victim, to you being a victim, because now you're being passed around to different men, right? That's how the law itself constitutes itself. You don't have to have a law degree to know this. All you have to do is look up the definition, right? But this right here with Nick Khan and Brad Bloom, they can say all they want to that prior to the lawsuit they did not know anything, and it's still up to Janelle in the end of the day to have to prove whether or not they knew. But the whole covering up sexual exploitations and all that kinds of stuff, you're gonna have a shit hard time trying to prove that, because what you would need would be text messages. I'm going to presume that Nick Khan didn't have anything to do with this in terms of being in contact, physical contact with Janelle Grant or Brad Bloom, because otherwise I think she would have mentioned him outright, just like she mentioned John Laurinaitis, just like she mentioned everybody else. You know who I'm very curious, and I haven't heard their name popped up yet, and now that I think about it, breaking up all these guys' name, I'm just throwing it out there. I'm not saying he is, in all this, but I do find it fucking weird when I think about it. Yo, was Kevin Dunn ever mentioned in any of this? Can someone confirm that? Now that I think about it, wait, what was the date? January 25th? Wait, hang on. When did Kevin Dunn leave? I made that video like what, the first day? I think that's the first video I made this year. Did he leave like around the 1st or the 2nd? Huh. Wait a minute. Now, I'm not saying anything that Kevin Dunn has something to do with this, but the timing of it seems really fucking coincidental, right? That all this shit blew up like a week or two later and he left prior to all of this? Doesn't that seem kind of weird to anybody? I'm not saying, and I'm not implicating him, I'm just implying that like the timing of him leaving versus all of this shit blowing up when all Vince McMahon's close associates are going down, it seems a bit weird. I'm very surprised that he hasn't been brought up. Or maybe he did and I just don't remember. I don't remember seeing them in the lawsuit. I didn't or maybe I don't remember seeing him in the lawsuit. I really don't. But I find it very, very hard to believe if he wasn't in any of this. Not to mention he stepped down after 30 years, or almost 40 years. Whatever though. But with this lawsuit right here in regards to pointing out Barry Bloom and Nick Khan, and even Stephanie McMahon and this guy Nurse, They said they don't face any explicit claims of knowing about the alleged sexual abuse that occurred to Grant. Now, here's my thing. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, that they're telling the truth, right? I think they're full of shit. I think they're absolutely outright full of shit if they want us to believe that they had absolutely no idea whatsoever that, Vince McMahon and, shitting on the girl's head and all this stuff. But we know for a fact that they had meetings, right? There was text messages from Vince pointing out that he's in meetings, talking to the boys, showing naked pictures. He outright said that in text messages. There's no way you're going to sit here and try to convince me that he didn't show this to Nick Khan, that he didn't show this to any... I don't know who Brad Bloom or Nurse is, and I'm pretty sure he's not going to show this to Stephanie McMahon unless he's trying to rib her or something. But Nick Khan, there's no way you're going to tell me that there's no way. And then also with Stephanie McMahon, it makes it even worse with Stephanie, because it's like, damn, bro, it's another allegation of her essentially throwing another woman under the bus. Because if you go back to the Ashley Massaro stuff, it's alleged that she was the one that talked Ashley out of going forward with trying to take down the army doctor or whatever. Like, she was trying to do the whole woman card shit. That's apparently what's being alleged, right? On top of the other leaders who are trying to, jump in all this also to try to get Ashley not to say anything. But she was a part of that also, so this doesn't look good at all for Stephanie. But another person who's not being brought up. So I mentioned Kevin Dunn, but I mean, I'm pretty sure this has been brought up a bunch of times, but what about Triple H, right? Not saying that he had anything to do with Grant, because I think he's a little bit smarter than that, a little bit more calculated. We're talking about a guy who hasn't even drunk beer a day in his life, or apparently he's, I forgot the word for it. I forgot the word for it. When you just completely, it's not even straight ass. Like, you just never drunk beer before in your life, and you're just never gonna drink beer. It starts with a T, but I can't remember. And I just can't see Triple H being that, I don't know, that strict, that disciplined to want to like ruin everything about his career, to want to dabble into all this. Not to mention he is still married to Stephanie. I don't think Vince will appreciate him fucking his his side piece over his daughter. So, but at the same time, there's no way we don't get information that Triple H didn't know about this at the very least. And I'm not talking about specifically Janelle Grant, but like just all, because you guys got to understand, bro, like, once Janelle Grant goes away, there will be another woman. I'm not talking about Rita Chatterman or Chatterton or whatever her name is, or any other. No. It's gonna get way worse than this, man. I don't think you understand what Vince has done as far as putting this company into this position. That's what I'm saying. I'm willing to defend the stance on its merit in regards to the sex trafficking until being proven otherwise. That still doesn't dismiss the other women, which I would like to see evidence of also. But it's going to be multiple women coming back and forth. So to all the people who were saying things like, Vince didn't do anything, Vince should stay in that position, you're out of your fucking mind. Like, you are out of your fucking mind to want to have someone in this position. You can go out of your way and you can somewhat defend the Janelle Grant from a criminal stance, although you can't defend it from the actual actions that took place. The dude incriminated himself in those text messages. You can't defend that. He actually did that. That alone should get him out of the company, because you don't need that headache on you. But with all the other stuff that's going to come in the horizon, this is just year one. I would be actually quite shocked if all these things that are going on with the women don't go forward for like, probably the remainder of the 2020s. I'm dead serious. The remainder of the 2020s could be Vince McMahon constantly having to defeat some of these cases over and over and over again with all of the people who are linked to him. So that brings another question. And I want to ask you guys, like, straight out, let's just be real about this. If you were in TKO's position, right? If you were in Ari Emanuel, if you were in his position, let's just face facts. Would you get rid of anybody who is linked to Vince McMahon? Straight up, outright. Get rid of the headache. Put other people in those positions, because then you run a risk. I understand you run a risk of completely just tarnishing your product, because no one knows the wrestling business like the McMahons. There's no one in, because you don't know who to trust. You can't even bring in someone like a Linda McMahon. You can't bring in someone like a Shane McMahon, because even though they have probably plausible deniability, not being in the company at the time, for an example, when all this stuff was going down, they're still the man's kid and his wife. His wife left him because of Janelle Grant, right? Or at least she found out, I wouldn't say she left him, but she found out about him and Janelle Grant. That was explicitly said, right? So, like, how do you go out of your way to try to go forward with the McMahons when all this is so readily known? Like, how? And again, I'm one of those guys where I try to be charitable to a situation. Like I said, I'm going to continue to defend the stance of sex trafficking when talking about Vince and Janelle. I will continue to say that Janelle is not a victim until I get some proof. I don't even care if it's text messages. I'll take that. But there is no defending Nick Khan being a part of this and Brad Bloom being a part of this and using this legalese talk to get themselves out of the situation. Because even though you could say you have nothing to do with the, Janelle Grant, the exploitation, or you had no knowledge of this whatsoever, you can make those claims all you want to, but I feel like they're wording this in a way where they can come back to it when the court proceeding starts to take place. And when cross-examination goes on, they can be like, oh, well, you said this, not this. You know what I'm saying? Like, we'll wait to see, because again, I'm ready. I'm so ready for these court days to take part. But again, like I said, even if these court days take place and people are like, okay, so we can get this over with, it's not going to get over with. That's what I'm trying to explain to you guys. This portion with Janelle may be over with, but then you have another woman waiting, and then you have probably that masseuse lady, she's waiting. There are the divas. Oh God, the divas. Like, this is going to get really, 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 really fucking bad for a lot of people. And not to mention also, man, I'm gonna straight up say this right now. It's not just the McMahons, but it's also the top talent that I think no one's actually talking about also. This time it was Brock in connection with the Janelle Grant stuff. What about the other top wrestlers who were good friends with Vince McMahon going forward with maybe some of the other women? Now, is it too far-fetched to say something on the lines of Randy Orton being a part of some of this stuff? Is it too far-fetched to say maybe somebody like John Cena could have been a part of something like this? Huh? Is it really too far-fetched? Is it too far-fetched to say someone like The Undertaker could have been a part of this? None of this is conclusive at all. Not even close. All I'm saying is this is just getting started. And the question comes, before we even get close to that territory, should you get rid of the McMahons and the people who are linked to the McMahons right now before it starts to blow up? Or at the very least, maybe you should do your due diligence right now. Try to get the story out of all of them the best way you can, and try to ask yourself, okay, which one is less damaging, and we can keep some of those people so the company doesn't go completely off the rails. Because again, you get rid of all these McMahons, you're going to kill the wrestling business essentially, or at least WWE's wrestling business, which is essentially the wrestling business, because all these people, again, they're linked. They're linked to so much as far as the ongoings in WWE. You're just gonna fuck up the entire company, right? You're not. What's the proverbial, like, taking the head off the snake? You're not doing just that. You're just killing the entire snake as a whole. Like, you're cutting his entire limb. Everything about snakes don't have limbs. You know what I'm trying to say, though. I don't know, man. I don't know. I guess we'll just keep up with the situation as time goes on. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments section below. Again, what would you do if you were in Ari Emanuel's shoes? Is all I'm saying. Because this is gonna get really, really ugly, really, really fast, and it seems like it's starting to pick up already. The 67-page document is down in the description box one more time if you want to check it out. As always, my name is Devontae, and I'll be catching you guys later. Deuces, P. Ice.